Yes, it is. Let's call this meeting to order. See, March 22nd, 2021, Bucyrus Planning Commission. Mr. Travis, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Reeser.
Here.
Mr. Wagner.
Here.
Mr. Basinger.
Here.
Mr. Tyner.
Here.
Is Bobby?
Will not be attending.
Okay, good enough. So we'll need a motion to excuse Bobby then.
So moved. Tyner? Second.
Second by Wagner. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we? It's just motion. Is that we need to vote? No, okay, good enough. All right. All right, so we have the minutes from the 11:23 meeting. You had a chance to look all those over. And unless there's any changes in the minutes, additions, corrections, another motion to approve would be in order now. Or if you want a few more minutes to look them over, that's fine too.
I thought the minutes looked good as far as I'm concerned. Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Mr. Basinger, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, so we have some reorganization to do. So what do we need on that? We just need a chairman for
It's all 2021, by the way.
2021, I see all that, yeah. Okay, so would any of you like to be the chairman? Mr. Al? I'd be happy to
I'd be
relinquish my
glad to
spot.
assist as long as you are chairman. I think the mayor should be chairman.
We want to be chairman, Denny?
I'll second that.
Okay, so roll call, please.
Mr. Basinger.
Here.
Mr. Tyner.
Here.
Mr.
Oh,
Wagner.
yes.
Yeah, it's a yes,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Okay, that motion carries. How about a chairman pro, who is our chairman pro tem right now? Mr. Wagner?
I thought it was Mr. Basie.
I think it's Al.
Might be.
I'm glad you're here.
I would like to nominate you to,
Okay.
if you would accept
I'll
that.
accept.
Okay, great. You have a second?
Second it.
Okay, roll call?
Mayor Reeser.
Yes.
Mr. Tyner.
Yes.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Okay. I think we, and then, so,
Move to close the
motion
elections.
to close the nominations. Okay, there you go, Danny.
I'll second it.
Jeff? All right, roll call, Mr. Travis?
Mr. Tyner.
Yes.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Basinger.
Yes.
Okay, so we need then motions to elect the chairman and chairman pro tem. Do they have to be separate?
That's the way they've always been.
Okay, let's do it separate.
You have to nominate first and then you elect second.
Okay, gotcha.
Make a motion to elect Mayor Reeser as chairman for 2021.
And if nobody's gonna second it, it'll die, which is okay with me.
I'll second it.
Oh, Jeff, you're fired. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Tyner.
Yes.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Basinger.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me. Okay, so need a motion to elect Mr. Basinger as chairman pro tem for 2021.
Your turn, Jeff.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, and
Mr. Wagner.
that's good.
Yes.
Mr. Tyner.
Yes.
Mr. Basinger.
Yes.
He can't vote in his own.
Oh, okay.
I will vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Reeser.
Yes. I mean, you can vote on your own, I suppose, but, you know. Okay, thank you. That's, did you prepare your acceptance speech?
So moved. I'm looking for the villas at West.
You're very so moved.
West Division.
Okay, so we're gonna have, anybody who was going to, do you wanna do this? Because that's, I think, because you were moving like you were gonna do it. No, I was just gonna. Okay. If whoever's going to give any testimony today, would you stand up and raise your right hand? And, okay, If you're gonna talk to that's your left hand. There you go, the other right hand. Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you provide today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we got a few things to go, and the first one is a zoning the subdivision revision for the villas at Whetstone. That's first on the list. And Landon, you want to
Yes, sir.
take it from there?
So, like you explained there, this was originally approved as a planned unit development, accommodating condominiums at the villages at Whetstone out on Concora Drive. Initially, the duplexes, but that was later modified for single condos. And pursuant to Bucyrus Codified Ordinance 1133.02, any changes, erasures, modifications, revisions, anything of that nature that's being made to the plat of a subdivision is required to come back before this body to get the approval before its final recording at the recorder's office. So what you'll see is a new drawing, and Isaac brought a large format map for you guys to see. I did include the preliminary plats in your packets, but they are on smaller paper. So if there's any details that you may have missed in there, feel free to take a look at the large map or ask guys if any questions you may have. But what you'll see is the preliminary plat. And what this is doing is taking it away from the condominium type setup where the land is owned by the Condo Owners Association. And this is splitting that remaining undeveloped property into lots on which single-family homes will be built to kind of continue the development out there at the villas of Whetstone. This body is aware they came before us originally to get a zoning change, and that process has been completed. So it was changed from apartment residential to R3. To accommodate those single-family dwellings because those are not permitted in the apartment residential district. And the plat revision meets the development standards that are required in the R3. Some of the main ones being the minimum 5,000 square foot of area for a lot and the minimum 50-foot lot width. When you look at it, you can see it meets it and often exceeds it in most points. I think most of them are around at least 60 feet wide.
66.
And larger than 5,000 square feet. So just for context, the minimum yard depths in the R3 are a minimum of 20 feet in the front and back and a minimum of 4 feet on the side yard lot lines. Isaac made a note on there that some of the easements for some of the utilities are going to affect some of those side yards, so they've even made some of them larger than that 4-foot requirement to accommodate those easements. There was some infrastructure that was debated as to whether or not it was ever officially accepted. We've put that to bed. It has been accepted to phase 2 and phase 3 infrastructure, sewer, etc. And the repairs are scheduled for that. The property owners, Mr. and Mrs. Bess, and the developer, Tim Lutz is the developer there. They've worked with both condo owner associations to essentially assure them that the characteristics of the original condominium development wouldn't change. And I don't know specifically where that stands, but I know that there's been communication between the parties, and we certainly appreciate that. So yeah, ultimately that gets us to, this is the preliminary plat. It shows 28 lots. I believe that to be the same number that was originally approved. And again, what this does is it's no longer going to be the community condo space that owns the land around each structure. It's actually going to be privately owned lots that are going to fit within this development.
Thank you, Landon. Okay, any comments, witnesses, or applicants, anything? Go ahead.
Since I'm the surveyor, if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay. Do you guys have any?
I believe the minimum, or the smallest lot was 61, oh no, there is a 59-foot lot on there. And I do believe that the Besses are working with the electric company to move one of the electric lines. Originally, when this was done, the electric company did not come to us to obtain their easements, and they just took a 15-foot wide easement across wherever they wanted to put their electric line, and we only had it designed for 12 feet between some of the homes. So that did actually create a problem. And then they just ran the electric line wherever they thought, and that also created a problem. So they're working on getting that relocated, and once that is relocated, the electric company will take new 10-foot easements where those 15-foot easements were. They'll still retain a 15-foot easement around the outside, but they will have a 10-foot easement then between the lots where they need them.
Is that Edison or is that AEP?
That's AP.
AEP.
Now, and you'll notice that the 115-foot easement stops at about the second lot from the south, and that is where they determined their service area ends. So that would be serviced then by somebody else who did not take an easement across that property. So we may want to continue an easement along that line. I don't know that we did that, but that is not a problem. It is set up there for easements, so.
And the lots not included are already lots that have been,
Correct, those are the ones to the south, and by south, I mean to the right of the screen. Those are already the condos in subdivision, or in phase one. And the ones to the northeast, those are in phase two that that did go through. I believe there are 4 or 5 up there. So,
There's only a few areas in Bucyrus that you can really do this, right? So this is gonna enhance more activity, more city tax money.
correct.
It's in the city limits, I believe.
property that's been developed already and ready for building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The roads are in.
The roads are in, the sanitary sewers are in, and already ran to the lots. We just kind of shifted the homes so that way we could get between the existing utilities that were put in without us helping them. So that way we could get to where those utilities are.
And the only difference that was really specified going back that I can see between, the various stages and phases of approval, they did allow phase one to be built without sidewalks required. Phase two and phase three, sidewalks were required, and I spoke with Tim, and that must be a part of the agreement with the condo owners associations that they go ahead and include sidewalks as well. So that'll carry over from that phase two, phase three approval that this body originally did back in the early 2000s.
I'm recalling at the last meeting too, that there was some concern with the local people. We zoomed families to concerned, but Lynn McKeever and Tim Lutz and I believe the Besses were with the meeting of the present owners that were there. if I'm not
By all
mistaken.
accounts, they've worked well together and they've got an agreement in place. so.
That still seems to be a positive for them as well. So, I think that's great.
Any other comments, anyone, or prepared to vote on it?
There's one question on there
Okay.
that says responses received or
Yeah.
letters returned.
We did not
Was there
send any
anything?
letters out to anybody.
No.
Okay.
We had, but did we receive any
There-
comments at all?
This has been through various
Yeah.
bodies, various
We
committees.
had several meetings
Um,
here, yeah.
Neighbors in the area have had ample opportunity for giving their feedback.
I quite honestly already thought the preliminary had already been done, so.
Yeah, yeah, I think the time for, there's objections, if there would have been, I'm sure would have
This is
been out
kinda
last
just
year.
the final piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the
subdivision revision?
Yes.
Okay, that's how it should read.
Rob thought the language should be something along the lines of approve the preliminary plat for the subdivision revision as final. That way, if there's no modifications made to the preliminary before it goes to be recorded, they'll just have to come back to get your signature on it and it'll be good to go.
Okay. So you get all that, Greg? Or you're taping it anyway?
Just taping it in now.
I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to read as Landon said. We have a second. Okay, how about a roll call, please?
Mr. Tyner?
Yes.
Mr. Basinger?
Yes?
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Okay,
So is
thank
this
you.
final, or do we have to go to another step?
That should be it.
Okay, then.
There's nothing that's here.
We'll end up creating a final plat.
Yeah.
It'll have
But
a
then
legal
it'll just-
description with
Yeah.
it.
And it'll get
And-
signed.
Yeah, and Jim
in-house.
Fry will have his restrictions
Yeah.
on there that
Yeah.
he wanted.
Yep.
As soon as he gets those to me, I get the legal description done, we get the electric company to
Yep.
move their line
Yep.
and release the 15-foot easements, then I can go forward with the final. So it's still a little bit of a process.
Right, but once you do get the final, then you're gonna sign it, and then that's the day that the ground could potentially.
Put a shovel in it, yeah.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, so just get back with me and I'll
Okay.
take care of that with you. Thanks, you appreciate everything. You don't have to stay, you can stay if you want, but it's not rude to get up and go, so.
All right, great.
Thanks for
These
coming.
plats are-
Yeah.
If you want them, you can take them. I don't have any need for them. We'll get the fancy finals.
Okay, you ready for number 2? I don't think anybody's here to talk about that. Zoning reclassification for, thanks Ivan. Zoning classification for 416 South Sandusky Avenue. Do you want to explain that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I contacted Mr. Williamson, but
He's probably working.
he's probably working.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at is a bakery right here across the driveway, or across the parking lot. That's the area of the request. And what the proposed changes are is to rezone it from neighborhood business to downtown business for the express purpose of accommodating outdoor dining, like you see down there in Norman's Niche and that. So what, they want to continue that proposed use. And unfortunately, it is not a permitted use in the neighborhood business district in which they're located. It is a conditional use in the downtown business district. The current uses would be a permitted use in the downtown business district. The residential use would actually be grandfathered because the only permitted or conditional uses for residential uses in the downtown business district include those of single-family homes and those of apartments on the second floor of your typical downtown buildings like you see. So this has kind of a split use with the commercial in front, the apartment in the rear. That would be grandfathered in and would continue as legally non-conforming provided it wasn't discontinued for a period of 2 years. So if they keep people in there won't be any issue with it. Again, the reclassification would accommodate that outdoor dining in the public right of way. If you guys want to see specifically what's required there, I did have those conditional uses printed up, but I forgot to put them in your packet. But what that means is they have to go to the BZA. They have to meet the specific requirements. Most notable of which is you have to provide that minimum 48-inch unobstructed zone for pedestrians. That's right along with the ADA compliance and that type of thing. There's some other requirements in there, as you can see, but that's the most important one. This is the current zoning, and as you can see, they sit right on the border of the downtown business district and the neighborhood business district. So this would simply be a minor change to pick up their property and move it into the downtown business district. So that's a high-level look at it.
This was brought on last year when they, popped a couple tables out there and had people just sitting out enjoying a donut and coffee. And, we like to have them be able to continue to do that
Yes.
legally,
Yes.
it's, so we just let them know there at the end of the year that, it should come before zoning and let's just change that, so.
Would there be any advantage or disadvantage to adding City Hall to that?
You want my answer or you want Rob's answer? No, I don't think so. Rob would tell you it doesn't matter because it's city property.
Well,
so
simply because, number one, you got picnic tables on the
Yeah,
patio.
yes, well, I thought of that, but he said in the public right of way, so is our patio the public right of way?
Not technically, no. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
but if we
here.
move them on the
These are
sidewalk, they
actually-
are.
Yes, these are actually out into the public right of way, which is why it requires that special approval.
Yeah.
I don't think there would be any benefit to including City Hall. Rob will tell you it doesn't matter because it's city property, so we're exempt from it anyway, but,
Unless we decide to build a new one and sell this to be a restaurant or
Sure.
something. Yeah. Well, it's been 50 years.
Yeah, right.
Time to
And
build a
I think
new
what we're
one.
saying is we're just wanting to change from neighborhood
Yeah.
to downtown
Right.
business.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to approve that
Okay,
motion for
any further,
neighborhood
so we got a motion, Mr.
downtown
Basin,
business.
to approve that. And then, just to be clear, then this would go to.
Yeah, unlike
Yeah.
our previous subject
Yeah.
where, this body was making kind of the final motion in that instance, this will go through the rezoning process as it typically does. So pending your motion, we'll send it to city council. City council will put it into planning committee. Planning committee will hold a public hearing. It'll go back to committee, back to final, full council for a final vote. So, as always in this instance, we kind of serve as a high level look at it and let it go through the proper channels.
Okay, so it may take just a little while. There'll be more discussion on it too.
Yes, and neighboring property owners will be notified, given an opportunity to submit feedback, public hearing will be held, so.
But we still have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
So on second.
Okay, Mr. Tyner. Do we have further discussion? Okay, how about a roll call then?
Mr. Basinger?
Yes.
Mr. Tyner?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
All right, good deal. All right, motion carries. And that'll get moved on to plating then. All right, subject number 3. This is about following whisk is done.
We've got
Jeff, you gonna talk about this?
yes, Mr. Beamer has
You got any
provided
questions?
a large
Okay.
format.
All right, so Landon, you wanna just,
And I don't know that you guys, here's some small individual ones. Jeff got these up to me last week, so they weren't included in the packets, but,
what you got going on with this one?
so as you guys are probably aware, the former Bratworks building on Center Street has since become Center Street. What they're looking at here today is this lot across the alley from the meat market. What's interesting in this case is this alley serves as the line of demarcation between the neighborhood business district in which the meat market is located and the residential district across the alley. So what they're wanting to do is accommodate some additional parking because it sounds like they're doing
very well.
very well, and maybe better than they had initially expected. So they're looking to get some commercial parking here on this lot.
Okay.
And that's specifically what this request is related to. It will change urban neighborhood residential R3 to the neighborhood business district to accommodate that commercial parking. And because the side yard lot line, and in this case the rear yard lot line, would be adjacent to an area where single or two-family dwellings are permitted uses, there is a requirement for screening or landscaping
Sure.
between those lots. And you can see there, Jeff has got with Tanya, the owner, and screening can take many forms. In most instances, it's fencing. In some instances, we've seen it be vegetation. They've gone for arborvitaes.
Yep, they are currently in agreement to put like a landscaping area on 2 out of the 3 sides that face the residential section. And they are okay with like putting up the tall arborvitaes, obviously start out this big and then obviously they're going to
Yeah.
grow as years continue. So they are okay with that. They just need the additional parking and to get it rezoned. So,
And so where we won't necessarily have the final say in the zoning change itself, this body does have the ability to set what the landscaping or screening plan is going to be moving forward. And like I said, there's no specific definition as it relates to it in the neighborhood business district. The only specific definition of it is in the apartment residential, in which it says it can be a fence or landscaping, provided that it's within, or grows to 7 feet within 3 years. Now, I don't think we have to hold it to that specific standard for this one, but that's certainly at your guys' discretion. You know, I don't.
Is there on the other side of the parking lot, the housing faces the street? Most of their,
Well, I'll just show you, this is the
Yeah.
current, and all we would be doing would be
there
picking
are
up
two
the lot
lots.
there.
So there's two lots that would,
Just to the east
yeah,
would be a single-family home.
Yeah.
And then to the north is an additional one. Those are the closest in proximity. And
they face Walnut or they face Center
I'm not
Street?
sure if the one on,
I think they face Walnut, I think you're right.
Two facing Walnut.
Yeah,
So it looks like they've got some foliage in there right now.
Long time ago.
correct. Yeah,
So-
they're,
Okay,
And those are
That-
good lots.
yeah,
them arborvitaes would be facing the rear sides of the house, of
Okay.
each house.
okay.
and
Yeah,
again,
they-
the idea
so-
there is, you know,
Are they willing to put up a fence if the neighbors object to the arborvitaes?
I'm sure they would be open to it. Their first choice would be
Yeah.
the landscaping because of, should the people pull in there, they hit the fence, they're gonna break the fence.
Yeah, I mean, what did we do at Burger
Yes.
King? Did we do fence and landscaping
no,
both,
they
didn't we?
just did the trees.
Okay, okay.
And again, the idea, like Mr. Wagner said, you know, headlights, garbage, some kind of noise
Light
dampener.
and sound, both,
Yes, just-
we're saying, I think.
Just in order to kind of have some protection for the adjacent
Okay.
residential properties there.
A buffer.
It's gonna be cheaper for them to replace a tree compared to replacing a fence.
Yeah.
So,
But you don't have to water a fence.
well, this is true, but the good
Yeah.
Lord can also water trees.
Yeah, but I'll tell you about arborvitaes. They are, I mean, you get a
I
hot
have never
summer.
touched mine at all, and they're like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, yeah. But you get drought years, I know I've lost
Yeah.
some. And then deer, not in the city probably, but deer love them too, so it's not gonna be an issue there, so. Yeah, but they're a good hedge. I mean, they're a good hedge.
And I think this body can send it forward with this specific screening plan, and if it gets to the public hearing process, there's probably an avenue to modify that if feedback dictates as such.
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces? Okay.
Yeah, roughly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, that's perfect use for that.
Now,
So-
their intentions.
Yeah.
Their intentions is around the north side of the old Bratwurst building and around the west side.
Right.
They're talking about in a couple years to look at possibly adding more parking in there.
I got you.
But as of right now, they're just asking for this section that they already own.
Yeah.
And also, with it being a mud hole right now, they're going to help me
Sure.
dress that up to where it's not a slop hole on the side of an alley.
Yeah, and they've got a few places in front there too.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Yes.
Now, will that be paved parking?
Currently, right now, it is as stone. It is the blue dustless limestone right now.
And this current lot will likely continue as such, for various legal reasons and loopholes. The law director tells me it'll be grandfathered in, following this zoning change should it go forward. However, if they were looking to do additional gravel surfacing like Jeff was explaining in the future, that would require the approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
That is correct.
And at that point, they would probably be more
They would have to
likely.
do all of it. All the stone parking as of right now would have to be put into pavement.
Yeah, and as of right now, I would say we're probably not looking at much more expansion of gravel parking. As we get out there towards Sandusky, my guess would be the board would probably want
That would be a pavement.
to see actual
Yep.
pavement, so.
Okay.
because we'll have to do stormwater designs and everything for all that, so that's gonna be a pavement.
So any more comments on, I'm glad they're doing well.
They're doing very well.
Every time I've been there, they've been busy,
Yes,
so.
they're doing very well.
Yeah, and a city this size needs some, meat choices. It's dinner time, I'm hungry.
So are we talking about urban neighborhood R3 to neighborhood business?
Correct.
That's what we're proposing?
Yeah.
Yep. And the motion can probably include approval of this screening plan as well. If
Okay.
you guys are on board with it. And like I said, as that moves forward, there's probably opportunities to look at that if feedback from neighboring property owners dictates as such, but.
So we could just say subject to, a final approval on the
I
land. on the-
propose that we approve the R3 to neighborhood business with the plan that's on the table.
Okay, got a motion on the floor?
On the table. It's still proposed.
That's, yes.
second.
Mr. Wagner's got the second. Any other comments? Discussion? If not, Mr. Travis, call the roll, please.
Mr. Basinger,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Tyner.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Sounds good. So then that goes to a couple more steps, right?
Yep,
Just like-
it's the same route that we previously talked about.
Yeah.
Council to plating committee, to public hearing, back to
Yep.
council for full vote.
Okay, so,
There's what, like two steps to go, 2-3 steps?
Yeah,
Get through.
I'll write a letter tomorrow, so it'll be to full council on the following Tuesday. It'll be
Yeah.
in committee the following Thursday. They have to give a minimum of 30-day notice for the public hearing, so that'll be the big waiting period. And then after the public hearing, it'll go back to committee and then back to full council.
Quite a process.
yeah,
As clear as mud.
yes, so
You will keep me abreast on
Yes.
schedules
Yep.
for that?
probably be looking at late May or June. I mean, if they don't do it as an emergency,
Right.
could be the end of June even,
I
so.
know Tanya has expressed some interest in possibly trying to get it done as an emergency.
Okay, well, sure. I think it's a good idea, but it's not up to me. Anything else before planning commission? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Tyner,
Second.
Mr. Basinger, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for your service to plan. Thanks for everybody for coming. Thanks for Landon, Greg, for your usual good work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.